In this video, we're going to show you how to install the binding around the cutout you just made to your smiley face window. This is an optional step that you may take if you want to help prevent any leaking that may happen in a blinding storm. The water may leak through those zipper teeth, and this will help prevent that from happening. We're going to use the 3/4 inch swing away binder attachment and install it on our sewing machine, and then just feed our binding in. And we preferably want to use the same color binding as the zipper is. So we're using a white here, and this is a bias binding to help go around corners nicely. And you just want to sew that on. As soon as you get started sewing, we're going to start first with the inner panel. That's the wide U-shaped panel. So this would be the inner teeth. Take a look at the bottom side. Make sure that you're catching both the top and the bottom. Again, we're using a 40 gauge strata glass here, and it'd probably be easier with a 30 gauge. That's one of the reasons we recommend it, because this is a lot of material to be pushing through that binder. A 30 gauge is easier. But you do want to stop occasionally and make sure that your stitch is in the right spot and that you're catching both the top and the bottom of your binding. Okay, so take your time here again. And again, if you start with the panel that has the inner teeth, the panel that will roll up, you'll find it a lot easier because that's an outside curve. The inner curve is harder to do with one of these binders. It is possible, but it is more difficult. So here's what it looks like. Let's get a close-up of that. There's what the binding looks like. All we do is basically just raise the teeth up and sew along there. We're showing in this video. Then when we get to the end here, remember we're raising the teeth up. We'll do a bar tack stitch here, and then we just simply pull the material out and cut off the binding and the threads. Now we're making it look pretty easy here. Again, with the 40 gauge, this is a little bit more difficult, and it does take some practice to get this on right. You got to catch the window material, and you have to catch the binding in both top and bottom, and that's why a 30 gauge would be easier than this 40 gauge. But it came out pretty nice. Okay. And that will help prevent any water leaking. Okay, now we're going to do that outer zipper, and we're going to lift the zipper up. And this is a little bit more difficult to do because the binder does not want to take this angle quite as easily as the other one. That's why I want you to save this one for second rather than start with this one. Take your time, go easily here. If you make a mistake, you can always rip it out and start again. You won't see the holes in your glass if you're going to be covering it with the binding. You just have to start with new binding. And follow that curve, and that's all there is to it, really. Again, this is an optional step. You don't have to do this if you don't want. Now let's move on to putting on that puller and finishing up your window. We're going to cut one of the legs off of the coil zipper. This makes it a little bit easier to put that slider on. We're going to use one single slider here, and you'll notice the slider has a wrong side and a right side. Take the coil zipper, the little piece you cut off, and practice with it, and you'll soon discover which is the right side. You can see it quite easily here in this video. It only goes in one direction, so it goes in this direction with that little finger on the side. You cannot do it backwards. Here we'll do it backwards. Notice it hardly goes in at all that way. So make sure you put it on right. You can hardly put it on wrong, so you'll understand quite easily when you start to do it. Now just start it on the one leg, and then match up the yellow pencil marks or whatever marks you have on the material so that they match up side to side, and then pull it on. Now I'm cheating here. I cut out a lot of tape. It takes a lot of effort to put these sliders on. They don't just go on immediately. So I probably cut out at least 3 minutes of tape. I didn't want to have you download on your computer all that tape. So then take it all the way to the end and actually remove that slider again. So you're going to have to install it again, I hate to say, but that's the only way to do this. So make sure you put all those teeth together and then restart the slider again. Okay, again, I've cut out a lot of tape because it took longer than this to put this slider on. And there we go. Just leave the slider right there in the middle.
In the center.
And then we're going to take a pair of scissors and we're going to cut off about 1 inch of the actual coil zipper. We're going to leave the tape on the sides. This will make it easier for the installation of your facing. You won't have to go over that coil zipper when you're sewing across when you're putting on the facing. So we're taking that off, and we'll do that obviously to the other side as well, which we've already done. And then we'll take a hot knife to weld the zippers together so that slider will never pull off. So you want to do about 1 inch of the zipper, and you want to take a hot knife and melt it till it becomes a shiny color. Don't want to melt it too much, it can actually burn. And it's a good idea to also blow on this. If you happen to throw it on top of some other material while it's still hot, you could melt your other material. So again, melt it about 1 inch in length and melt it till it becomes shiny, and then stop, and then blow on it to cool it off. Now that's all there is to it. The only the next step is obviously to install the facing all around it. It's always wiser to put in a smiley face zipper first before you put the edging on. It's a lot easier to do it in this situation. And you want to make sure you put it on the right side. We're working right now on the inside of it. And if you notice, we've only put one slider on. There are a lot of boats out there with 2 sliders on that unfortunately they end up right in the center of that smiley face zipper. In this situation, that slider stays right here at the top in all situations. That's my son Isaiah. He's only 12 years old, and I'm quite proud of him. He does most of the filming for all of these videos for Sailrite. Here's your finished zipper, and that's what it looks like up close. And there's the slider that will stay at the top instead of at the bottom, which was traditionally done in the past. I hope you're still smiling after you're done with your smiley face zipper. If not, you may want to make a frown zipper instead. Thanks again for watching. I'm Eric Grant. Bye-bye.